My hazer output was becoming less and less, even though the smoke units in the theatre were full. I took one of the units to my workshop and took a closer look. After close inspection, it appeared that they were just getting clogged up with years of congealed haze fluid. I walked through to the office and looked on the computer system to see if there are any deionized water on the ship's stores. Sweet. The system says there are a few hundred gallons, so I ordered 10 gallons. That would be more than enough to clean out 4 hazers and the 2 foggers. Now for the hard part. As I didn't want water vapour going all over my lighting rig, I needed to have the theatre's gunport door opened. This is the theatre's hatch to get big bits of set or equipment off by crane when the ship is docked. This fucker hasn't been opened since refit. I looked at the port itinerary to see where we were docking over the next few weeks. The next time we dock at Curacao looked promising. Now to get permission to open the door, as this door is part of the shell, only the deck team were allowed to open it. So I put my request into the production manager for him to forward it to the captain, the safety officer and the head bosun. It only took a few hours for a response to come through. The captain emailed me back directly, CC of the production manager and the list of people above. The email read, "Your request has been granted. Please note that as we are docked, the opening of the gunport door is a security risk, so it will be manned at all times by yourself. If for any reason you need to leave this post, you must have someone standing at your position till you return. As this door has not been open in a long time, I will send to the maintenance team to work around you. You will be responsible for this door at all times, and when your work is finished, you must contact the bridge to tell us that the door needs to be closed. Kind regards, Captain." This was great news. Now all I needed was some supplies and some company. I picked up the phone and called the pianist, then told him the plan. It was 8 AM on Curacao morning when my pager went off, and it showed 14001. That was the wheelhouse phone extension on the bridge. I fell out of bed and picked up the phone. "Good morning, Mr. Collis. This call is to inform you that your presence is requested at the theatre's gunport door in 30 minutes. Please turn up ready for the safety officer and the security officer to sign control of the door over to you," said the voice on the other end of the phone. "I will," I said, and then the bridge hung up. I hurried into the shower with a quick rinse, lather and rinse, and I was essentially ready. Last night I already preloaded a rucksack with vodka mixers and mugs with a ship's logo printed on them. They were stashed backstage, hidden within the stowed set near the gunport door. Well, I didn't want to turn up looking suspicious now, did I? Once I got dressed, I made the effortless one-door commute to work, to be greeted by the safety officer and the head of security. "So what is it you're doing with the door open today?" said the safety officer. "Well, the aim is to use these drums of deionized water to run through the smoke machines and unclog the gunk that's blocking the pipes. The mist of water vapour will belch out the side of the ship rather than getting my electrics wet," I said. "Okay then," said the security officer. "Sign here." He handed me a form giving me the responsibility of the door. "Once this door is open, you acknowledge that you are responsible for the security of this door. You are also entered into the ship's log as being on watch, so if you see anything of interest or suspicious, you are to report it to the bridge," said the security officer. The safety officer started the door opening mechanism, which was a series of buttons and pulling a lever. Then he pointed to a dead man switch opposite. "Push and hold that button," he said. I complied. The security officer pressed another dead man switch on his side of the door, and the door began to open. The view was stunning. You could see the whole of Mega Pier 1. Yes, that is the actual name of this dock. I had a perfect view of the crystal clear turquoise water. You could see the market on the far side of the port security checkpoints, and in the distance to the right you could see a private beach with topless ladies sunbathing, as well as the old fortress, which had been turned into a shopping district. The sky was bright and cloudless. You could feel the heat and humidity smack you in the face as the door finished opening. Today was going to be a fine day. Just a reminder, if you are not to leave this door unattended, if you need to leave to go to the toilet or get some food, you must page someone to stand here till you return. Any problems, phone the bridge, said the security officer. Got it, I said. As the safety officer and the security officer left, a member of the deck team walked in. He handed me a bosun's life jacket and told me to put it on. I did. He was not at all talkative. He just wanted to do his door maintenance and get out. As he started to work, I started my official work and started the long process of unclogging the hazer units. An hour had passed and the maintenance guy had just finished. He left without even saying bye. My first two hazers had nearly finished their clean cycle, so I went over to a pile of dirty units, brought them over and loaded them with deionized water ready to swap out. I picked up the phone and dialed the pianist's cabin. It rang and rang and rang out. Typical, I thought. I bet this cunt was still in bed. I hung up, then redialed. He must have just fallen out of bed, as when he answered, he sounded groggy as fuck. "Oi, you cunt! Get dressed and get your ass to the theatre. I've got a great view of topless women and a fuckload of vodka, all waiting just for you." He replied sharpish, "I'm on my way, you cunt." He hung up the phone and I began to swap out the hazers ready for the next cleaning cycle. By the time the pianist calmed down, I had already smashed through a mug of Sky vodka. This stuff was crisp, and it went down like water, not like your bog-standard Smirnoff shit. I was standing on the platform that the open door made and began to admire the view when I received a shunt from behind. "Oh, you cunt! Are you trying to kill me or something?" I barked. "No, man," said the pianist. "You got a life jacket on, so if you fell you won't die," he said with a dirty grin. "You're as funny as an orphanage burning down, you poor excuse for a Rangers fan," I retorted. "You take that back, fucker," he shouted. "I'll only take it back if you pass me the binoculars that are sat over there." I pointed them out. "And pour yourself a big fucking drink. While you're at it, you can pour me a reload," I said as I handed him my mug. He handed me the binoculars and I handed him my mug. "I'm sorry, dude, you're a Celtic fan and not a Rangers fan," I said with a grin. The pianist opened up the rucksack and pulled out the bottle of vodka. "Oh, this is the shit," he said as he pulled out the bottle of Sky. I was looking through the binoculars at the private beach, and there were some tasty girls just laying down with their assets on display, and without looking towards the pianist I said, "Dude, make sure the measures aren't stingy." "How do you know how much I poured?" he said. "I could hear it," I said. "Bullshit," he replied. "Not bullshit," I said. "Prove it," he said. I was still oogling the ladies with the binoculars when I explained. "When I poured my last drink, I counted 3 seconds to half fill that very mug. You only poured for 1.5 seconds, so it's a quarter full." "You're right there," he snarled. What you having for a mixer?" "Dealer's choice," I said. "Here, come and look at this." What is it?" he said as he passed me a drink. I put my drink down on the chair and handed the pianist the binoculars. "Look, aim at the private beach to the right of the dock. Do you see the bar?" I said. "Yes," he replied. "Cool. Do you see the sun loungers downstage left of the bar?" "Yes," he replied. "Cool. Count 5 sun loungers across and you'll see a girl with ashtray nipples." I picked up my drink and took a good old swig. "Ah, that's magic." "Oh, holy fuck, those nipples are massive, man," he said. "Is this why you picked this port?" he said with a dirty grin. "What are you insinuating? That I would pick this port to open this shower door just to be able to perv on topless women in such a two-dimensional way, rather than look at the natural beauty of this fine and wonderful port with the multicoloured Dutch architecture and its exquisite fortress come shopping centre? You bet your fucking ass I did." And then I chugged back the rest of my drink. "How did you know?" he asked. "Well," I said, "when we had docked here a month ago, I was on IPM and took the top deck shifts for the morning. I glanced over the port and I saw this very beach from afar. Not wanting the passengers to think that I was a pervert, I took a mental note, then combined this idea with doing some work, and hey presto, here we are now, looking at this beach without an obstructed view and plausible deniability." "Plausible deniability," said the pianist. "Yep, because this door is open and we are manning it. We are on watch just like the deck team are on the bridge, and we have to do the anti-piracy checks. Plausible deniability." The pianist looked chuffed. "Fucking hey," he said. "Time for a reload, dude." I poured myself a fresh drink. "Dude, how are you getting on?" "I've got about half of mine left," he said. "That's not fucking good enough. You're Scottish. Genetically speaking, you should be kicking my ass," I proclaimed. The pianist necked the rest of his drink and then handed me his mug over. "Good lad," I said. I poured out the rest of the bottle into both of our mugs, then topped us up with 7-Up. I looked at the dock and got away from a group of returning passengers. I gestured at them with my mug, and they waved back. "You know what the best thing about today is?" I said. "No," said the pianist. "Well, those imbecile passengers that waved me just now just probably think that we've just been working hard and having a coffee break because we're drinking from these branded mugs, when in reality we're getting trashed on this open shower door platform looking at tits." "What could be better?" I said. "I know," said the pianist. "Wait. Holy fuck, man. We've been spotted on the beach. Bullshit, I said. No man, a group of girls are waving at us, he gasped. I grabbed the binoculars from the pianist and scanned the beach. Sure as fuck, we had been spotted. There was a group of girls with their tits out, jumping and waving at us. This was going to be a bit of an interesting one. Dude, it's only some of the fucking dancers, I shouted. No fucking way, he gasped. No man, I'm not fucking joking. We have the dance captain and the lead female vocalist and 2 of the ensemble. Fuck, dude. They knew I was going to be here with this door open. I said, oh man, we're going to be called perverts for the rest of the contract, said the pianist. I don't think so, I said. What makes you say that, said the pianist. Well, as they're doing cartwheels and still waving at us, man, they're hot for it. Wave for fuck's sake, I fucking shouted. We both waved, and they kept waving back. This was awesome. I just hoped that this would be kept on the down low. I didn't want word getting around to the shit that I was a perv, but then again, why would it? Especially if the twirlies were milking the attention. And between you and me, it's not as if I haven't seen the dancers at it before, passing backstage during show conditions with the dancers doing quick changes and whatnot. But anyways, I digress. The pianist grabbed the binoculars from me. Give me that, he growled. He took a good look and then passed me back the binoculars nearly straight away. What the fuck happened, I asked. They stuck the finger up at me and walked off. I began to laugh. Well, I guess they weren't hot for you as they were for me. I took another look, and right he was. They had begun walking towards the bar now with their bikini tops back on. I looked at the drink situation. Both the pianist and I were nearly empty. Dude, I said, do you mind going back to my cabin with the rucksack and fetch another bottle of vodka? Yeah, no worries, man, said the pianist. The pianist left the door and went into my cabin. I quickly ran into my lighting store and grabbed the beam diverter mirror away from my spare stage scan units. I put the binoculars back to my eyes, scanned the bar area for the dancers. Once I found them, I shined the mirror at them to get their attention. After a few flashes, the dance captain looked up and waved and flashed me her tits once more. I waved back. I could see her smiling as she pulled her bikini top down into position. She waved me back and then turned back to the bar. This was good. She was hot for me. I wouldn't tell the pianist about this. This was best kept to myself. I checked the hazers that were currently on their clean cycle. They were nearly finished, so I lined up the last 2 units, which were my foggers, and loaded them up with deionized water. The pianist returned with the reload. This was good, as I could feel myself sobering up. What took you so long, dude? I only live just behind this backstage, I said. Needed a dump, man, he said. Well, as long as you didn't leave a floater, I said with a chuckle. The pianist reloaded the mugs and I swapped over my hazers with the foggers. I took my phone out of my pocket and started to take some scenic photos to add to my collection. This island was beautiful. I remember the first time I was here. I went for a walk on my own and I will never forget what happened when I stopped to light a cigarette. There was rustling in the bush that I was standing next to. Being European, I naturally assumed that it would be a hedgehog or a mouse or even a cat. Boy, was I wrong. It was a fucking lizard. It made me jump a little as I didn't expect it. I looked up and noticed more gormless passengers waving at us as they returned to the ship. I did a half-assed wave back as I sipped from my mug. The pianist had a hold of the binoculars and was scanning around the private beach. I was no longer interested, as all I was thinking about was a dance captain and with a nice perky jugs and what I would do if given the opportunity. Hey man, look at this, shouted the pianist. What is it? I said as I took possession of the binoculars. Aim towards the fort inside the entrance. Go left till you see the Starbucks. Go across the opposite side where the cafe is. Can you see it? Yeah, I can see it. The fat cunt Kraken from the shop is filling her trap rather than paying off her debts to everyone. I pulled out my phone and then put the camera lens up to the binoculars and took a few photos. I had a scan around. She was on her own, which was good, as she wasn't sponging up from anyone else. I said aloud, eat away, you fat tramp. All your creditors are gonna get really pissed off with you. I took another photo. This was the most unflattering photo ever. I captured the moment the grease squirted out of her mouth and dripping down her chin as she was mid-munch. Oh yeah, that's the money shot. I'm going to take this down to the photo lab and blow it up to A3. That'll teach her for ducking people that were kind to loan to you. The pianist began to laugh. That's the fucking ticket. How much does she owe? To me personally or to everyone else, I said. In total, said the pianist. Well, let's see. This is only going with what I know. So 40 quid to me. She owes nearly all of her shoppy team, at the very least a tenner each, so that's nearly 200. She owes 3 dancers that I know of, so a tenner for one and 20 for another and 30 for the other one, I think. She owes 4 youthies something like a tenner each. She probably owes more people that I don't know. So at this rate, if she pays everyone back today, and it's shoppy payday today, she'll be left with not much at all. What a stupid cunt, said the pianist. Tell me about it. Some people just want to live the life without being able to pay for it. Anyways, I'm not going to dwell on this fat cunt a second longer, I said. There was a beeping from one of the foggy units. It had run empty, so I shut it down. I checked the other unit. It had about 5 minutes left before it runs out. One for the road before I call the bridge dude, said the pianist. I said to the pianist, yeah man. The pianist smiled and he held out his mug. I did the final reload, and with a clink of the mugs, we did a toast to a perfect day with the best window on the ship. As we finished our drinks, I hid the evidence, packed up my equipment, and then phoned the bridge to send someone to close the gunport door. It was a fine day indeed.